What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Dustin back on the show. Dustin, good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
This is the free agency episode. Catch up on all the moves that have been happening since the start of free agency. So this should be a good one. A lot of changes with our teams. Most people pretty happy. Some not as happy with the changes, but we'll get into this. A lot of movement, regardless, in the NFL. What do you think? Just a broad look at the free agency. It's been pretty crazy, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been, pretty remarkable, and this season is going to be a big change. We're going to see a lot of new names on different teams.
Yeah, and some of it already has taken place. I mean, so let's start in the AFC East with the Buffalo Bills, who won the division last year and went to the AFC Championship game. Now they're adding wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders to go with Stephon Diggs, and they add backup quarterback Mitch Trubisky. What do you think of Emmanuel Sanders and Stephon Diggs now in that receiving core?
Yeah, man, that's a pretty nasty receiving core, and I think that's what they lacked. Trying to go far into the playoffs with the Chiefs and everything was another weapon. So I think Sanders can really give Josh Allen, another weapon to throw to.
Yeah, I agree. They also, uh, lock up some offensive line. Darrell Williams, a 3-year deal. John Feliciano, 3-year deal. Linebacker Matt Milano, a 4-year deal. In my opinion, offense wasn't the issue for the Bills, it's defense. And I'd still like to see the Bills get a lot better defensively, and maybe that's something they address in the draft.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, they did struggle on defense, but they can score points though. So
Yeah, and I would still like to see them get a running back. I know they have Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, but I would like to see them get a better running back. Maybe that's something they get in the draft too.
yeah, which I think they are going to end up getting like a Najee Harris or a Travis Etienne.
What's your thoughts? So I like ETN. That's kind of a sneaky pick to Buffalo. But what are your thoughts on those two running backs? Do you think they both go in the first round and are good fits in the NFL?
See, that's kind of tough. I think Harris goes before Etienne, but I think Etienne will drop to the second round just because a lot of the teams in this draft don't really need tailbacks besides the Bills and a few other teams. So, and yes, I do think that they both can fit in the NFL. I mean, Najee Harris brings, you know, another Alabama running back like a Derrick Henry type.
Yep. Yeah, I like Najee Harris a lot. I think he's going to be a stud starting running back for whoever drafts him. And I think ETN could go late in the first round, early second round, or early to mid second round. And it's going to be ideal, like where he fits is going to matter a lot. But he can be, that pass catching speed option running back. So if he lands in the right spot, like a team like Buffalo, I mean, let's say Travis Etienne goes to the Bills. That would really help that offense and add some explosiveness.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that.
So, do you think the Bills? I mean, are the Bills going to be better next year based on what we're seeing in free agency? How are you feeling about the Bills?
I think they'll be more explosive on offense, but unless they start signing more defensive players, I think they're going to lack on defense.
Yeah. All right, let's
which
go.
is something that you definitely do not want to do with the Chiefs being in that same conference.
Yeah, and I think most teams are caught up in like trying to outscore the Chiefs instead of trying to limit the Chiefs from scoring so much. And I think they're going about it the wrong way. And the teams that build up a better defense that can limit Patrick Mahomes in that offense will have the best chance. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, if it's going to be a shootout, who are you picking, Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen?
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, so So we'll see what the Bills do. They're not done, so we'll see how much more they do. Now let's go to the Dolphins, where you sad to see Jacoby Brissett leave your Colts, and it's a good move for the Dolphins to bring in a veteran, borderline backup that can fill in and start if needed.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss Jacoby. I wish he could have re-signed in Indy, but that's definitely one of the best backups, if not the best backup in the NFL.
Yeah, and they might need him with Tua struggling in his rookie year. We'll see how he does, or who knows? Maybe the Dolphins are still in play for Deshaun Watson. But
Yeah,
either way, it's good to have Brissett there as a backup. He's a solid backup. And as a Bears fan, I mean, we'll get to that a little bit later. But I like Brissett. Um, the Dolphins also add running back Malcolm Brown and wide receiver Will Fuller to 1-year deals. How do you feel about these skill position adds for Miami?
yeah, that's huge. Miami was already on the verge of making the playoffs. I think adding Will Fuller, and I think they're gonna go in the draft and add another dynamic receiver. So this could be what Miami needs to officially take it over the top.
Yeah. Get a wide receiver in the draft. Doesn't have to be with pick number 3 overall. I mean, ideally, I think right now, if I'm the Dolphins, depending on the quarterback situation, I think I would go Penei Sewell, and then it's a deep receiver class, so you can get a receiver like later in the first round or second round, and who knows?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, somebody like Amari Rogers out of Clemson,
yeah,
in the second round.
yeah. So a lot of so I like what the Dolphins are doing, and they're gonna be tough to beat as that offense comes along to match how dominant the defense was last year. Dolphins are going to be a threat. They also trade for Isaiah Wilson, but I don't think that rules out going tackle in the draft. They also trade for linebacker Bernard McKinney, sending Shaq Lawson to the Texans. What did you think of this trade, Shaq Lawson for Bernard McKinney?
Yeah, I would rather have kept Shaq Lawson. I think he's a way better player.
Yeah, I agree. Interesting move there. But, Brian Flores is the head coach and, a defensive guy. So he must, think it's a better fit. We'll see how that goes. They also add corner Justin Coleman, the former Lion. Um, so, I mean, yeah, Dolphins are going to be a threat. You think any chance the Dolphins can catch the Bills and maybe, contend for the division this year?
You know, to be honest, it all depends on how Tua plays. The
Yep.
Miami Dolphins will go as far as Tua Tagovailoa will take them.
Let's say hypothetically, let's say the Dolphins pull off the trade to send Tua to the Texans and bring Deshaun Watson. Does that make them the favorite in that division?
Absolutely.
Yeah, with that defense, and then you add Deshaun Watson, I would think so.
That's the best second quarterback in the AFC. I mean, that would be Miami's key to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the Patriots. How surprised were you that Cam Newton goes back to New England for a second year?
I am very surprised, especially for the $13 million that he signed for after throwing for only 8 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
Yeah. Now, and it's up to 13 mil. It's a base value of 5. So with incentives, if he does well, he can get up to 13. I expect Cam Newton to have a better year. I think that COVID was an issue for him, and I think more familiarity and chemistry with the Patriots will help. Do you think Cam Newton bounces back and has a better year, or do you think he's about done?
Well, looking from the free agencies that the New England Patriots had this year with Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, and Jonnu Smith, I
Yeah,
think those are elite weapons, and those are going to definitely help Cam Newton. So I believe he has a better season.
that's the thing. Is part of the issue last year was the Patriots not having many weapons, and so like you said, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry is a huge addition. Hunter Henry, I think that's great for Cam Newton. Jonnu Smith as well. That's a two tight ends that you can use in a lot of different ways. How about the trade for? Go ahead.
Hunter Henry, in my opinion, is a top 5 tight end in the league.
Yeah, when healthy, and Jonnu Smith is. I mean, if you're going to have him as tight end number two, that's a great tight end number two in Jonnu Smith. They also trade for tackle Trent Brown. That's a good move for them. Let's see here. And then defensively, on defense, they add Matt Judon, linebacker Raekwon McMillan. They bring back Kyle Van Noy, as well as safety Jalen Mills. How about the linebackers? Judon, McMillan, and Van Noy. Those are great additions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at it, this Patriots team could be back.
Oh, I 100% think so, especially with all the guys that opted out last year and didn't play. That's something that not a lot of people talk about is that, the Patriots struggled in 2020, but they had so many, they led the league in opt-outs. And so a lot of those players will be back. I expect the Patriots defense to be back, like top 5 defense in the league. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to say, this is going to be one of the best divisions to watch in football next year.
Absolutely, yeah, and depending on what the Jets do, if they keep Sam Darnold, if they trade if they draft Zach Wilson and trade Darnold, and all of what's going to go on there, the Jets also adding receivers and playmakers to go with Denzel Mims. They add Keelan Cole and they add Corey Davis. Both out of your division. What do you think Keelan Cole and Corey Davis bring to the Jets?
Yeah, that's a big pickup, especially Corey Davis. He did great in Tennessee. So
yeah,
and you never know if they decide to keep Darnold. I can see them going after Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle.
Yep, or even Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll see what they do. What would you do? Would you keep Sam Darnold or would you trade for Zach Wilson?
I would trade for Zach Wilson.
Yeah. I mean, you agree. I think we all agree. Sam Darnold, needs a better fit. He didn't have much help around him, and I think Mike LaFleur can be successful there as the offensive coordinator. But there's a chance if they did keep Darnold, he could bounce back. But I think that it might be better for both the Jets and Darnold to send him to a fresh start somewhere else, like San Francisco or something.
Yeah, a lot of times it's better for a quarterback to start off at a new franchise. It really revitalizes their career.
Yeah, and I think the Jets are hungry and chasing the next Joe Namath. So it wouldn't surprise me if they
Ooh,
try and draft Zach Wilson with the hope that he is that franchise Super Bowl contending quarterback.
ooh, you said, man, that's gonna be hard to try to get another Broadway Joe, man.
It is, and you're doing it. You're a rookie quarterback in the city of New York. It's a lot of pressure. So we'll see what they do. But quarterback, the Jets are one of those teams like the Bears, like the Dolphins since Dan Marino, that have been trying hard to find their next franchise quarterback.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's go to the Ravens. They bring in guard Kevin Zeitler, um, along with re-signing defensive pieces Tyrus Bowser, Parnell McPhee, Justin Ellis, and Derek Wolfe. So really, the only true acquisition, guard Kevin Zeitler. I mean, that's good. That offensive line needs to be strong to protect Lamar and keep that running game going.
Yeah, but I think the Ravens are gonna fall down a bit, especially losing two major key defenders on their defense with Judon and Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah, those are big losses. They also lost Mark Ingram, the running back. So we'll see. I mean, with the Browns getting better, with the Bengals getting better, we'll see what the Steelers do. That division's getting a little more interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go to the Bengals. They had defensive end Trey Hendrickson from the Saints, as well as defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi, corner Chidobe Awuzie, and corner Mike Hilton. They seem to be focusing on defense. And we'll see what they do in the draft, whether it's wide receiver Jamar Chase, whether it's Penei Sewell. But I expect the Bengals to take another, step forward in the right direction with Joe Burrow in the second year.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the year where they get over the hump and actually get 6 to 7 wins and start to build that franchise.
Yeah, how concerned would you be that with Joe Burrow's massive knee injury as a rookie going forward?
I mean, I'm not too concerned, especially with the way that the medical, is these days. I think he's going to come back and be better than ever.
So if let's say Penei Sewell is already taken by the Bengals pick at 5, are you comfortable taking the best wide receiver available, or do you think offensive line is a greater need? They did sign Riley Reeve.
Yeah, I think offensive line you would have to go there first because, like you said, the draft is deep with receivers. I mean, it's probably 5 round deep.
Yeah, but secretly and selfishly, I'm 100% hoping that the Bengals, Jamar Chase drops to the Bengals because I would love to see Jamar Chase team back up with Joe Burrow.
So you're thinking that Jamar Chase might get drafted over Devontae Smith?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got Jamar Chase ahead of Devontae Smith. I got Devontae Smith third.
You have
Behind,
Jalen Waddle over
Jalen Waddle.
Interesting.
Do you think Devontae should go first?
I mean, I do just because I think he's the better receiver, but I have watched Chase play and Jamar Chase was setting records.
He was. So we'll see. I mean, Jamar Chase was the best receiver. You look at Offensive Rookie of the Year last year was Justin Jefferson. And in 2019, when they were teammates, Jamar Chase outperformed them. So
yeah, that's true. And they were part of the highest scoring offense in college football history, I believe.
Yeah, no, LSU. So if he's there, if Jamar Chase is available, I think the Bengals are going to have a hard time not taking him there. So we'll see. So Bengals could be a threat coming up. Let's go to the Browns, who made it to the divisional round of the playoffs last year, got their first playoff win in what seems like forever. So let's see. They re-sign Rashard Higgins. They bring in defensive end Tack McKinley. They re-sign Malcolm Smith. They bring in linebacker Anthony Walker, corner Troy Hill, and safety John Johnson from the Rams. What do you think of what the Browns are doing?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for stealing Anthony Walker. But anyway, I think Cleveland is going to be good next year, and they're my pick to actually win that division. So they're going to be better than they were this year, and I think Baker's going to take strides, and Cleveland's going to be nobody to joke around with anymore.
Yeah, second year under head coach Kevin Stefanski. What do you think happens with Odell Beckham Jr.? Is he going to be back next year, or is he getting moved?
I'm hoping he comes back because I don't want him to be moved, especially to what the rumor is right now.
Tampa Bay?
Yeah, that would not be fair to the NFL.
I'd rather Tampa Bay than Green Bay. OBJ and
Yeah,
Green Bay, that would be crazy. But
but I mean, then again, man, these past few years, Odell hasn't really shown that he's what he was when he was in New York. So
yeah,
I don't know.
what if he returns? What if they bring him back because of like he's a star receiver, you can't get rid of great talent, and then the Browns struggle again because for whatever reason, Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham don't seem to have great chemistry.
No, yeah, I'd say if they have uh struggles at the beginning of the season, put them on the trade block and send them somewhere else.
Yeah. What about here's an interesting trade scenario. I don't know how it works financially, but what about Odell Beckham Jr.? Because if you get rid of him, you're going to want to replace him, right? You want a number one to come back, unless you're comfortable with Jarvis Landry being number one. What about like a Odell Beckham Jr. for Michael Thomas trade to the Saints?
I like that, but I was thinking more of a Mike Evans for Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, Mike Evans from Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
I could see that. That's not a bad idea either. So we'll see what they do. I mean, they also were, close to going to the AFC Championship game without him. So maybe they don't need Odell Beckham. So we'll see what the Browns do. It's a big year for Cleveland because now the expectations are high and the pressure is on. And so we'll see how they bounce back or how they do in their second year under Coach Kevin Stefanski. Let's go to the Steelers, who they convinced Big Ben to come back. So that's the good news there. They also bring back Juju Smith-Schuster on a one-year deal, as well as Ray McLeod, two wide receivers. What do you think of what the Steelers are doing? You think it's a good move to bring back Big Ben for one more year?
yeah. I mean, that's their franchise quarterback.
Yeah,
That's all they got. But
yeah. They don't
I'm
have a new
I'm very
guy.
surprised after hearing a lot that Juju was going to be done with Pittsburgh that he decided to resign.
Yeah, I am too. But it seemed like there wasn't a lot out there for him. There wasn't a lot of interest, which is pretty
Yeah,
crazy. I mean, it is interesting. Like if you look at all the free agents signed, right? Who are the biggest names that haven't signed yet? They're all wide receivers. It's all Kenny Galladay, T.Y. Hilton, Sammy Watkins. These guys haven't signed yet. It took Juju a while to get signed. And who was the other receiver that just got signed? Uh,
AJ Green.
yeah. So it's interesting that there's not a huge market for these receivers right now.
Yeah, I think teams are really trying to work more on their defense and making sure that their offensive line is good.
Yeah. What do you think of the Steelers? I mean, they started 11-0 and then kind of fell off and then lose to the Browns in the playoffs. Do you think the Steelers are going to be good again? Or maybe they take a step back and right in the mix of the AFC, maybe the AFC North is a lot more competitive.
Yeah, they're going to finish third in the AFC North.
Wow. I don't know if I'll go that far. The Browns have to prove it to me, and the Bengals have to prove it to me. I expect the Ravens to be good, not great. And so it's up to whether the Browns or the Bengals to step up and keep Pittsburgh out of the playoffs.
But I just don't think Ben Roethlisberger would be able to compete with Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield being his age.
He did pretty well last year. I think that they were asking to throw the ball too much. I think maybe if they help address the running game, the offensive line, maybe that will help. But in some of those games, especially the playoff game against Cleveland, Roethlisberger was thrown it like 60, 70 times.
I see as you start off 11-0, there is no reason to have the kind of claps you had. So there is something wrong in Pittsburgh that they need to address.
Well, and I think a little bit of humble pie, losing to the Browns in the playoffs, will be good for this team. Um, Even when they were 11-0, there was a lot of people pointing at this team saying, they're flawed, they're beatable, and no one was really surprised when they started to lose late in the year. So, I think the key is the offensive line and the running game, and we'll see. Other than that, I mean, it is all on Big Ben, but they need to find a running game there. Ever since Le'Veon Bell left, they haven't had a running game.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, and then with the Browns two-headed monster of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, I mean, that's a recipe to beat that team. So let's go to the Texans. First off, a lot of talk swirling Deshaun Watson. Will he be traded? Now there's all these accusations going around. What do you think? Does the new news on Deshaun help him get traded or hurt him get traded?
I honestly think it's in today's world. I think it's going to hurt him being
Uh huh.
traded. I mean, we seen what Antonio Brown went through when he had those sexual assault allegations on him, and it took a while for teams to forgive him. So, I think it's going to be not good for Watson, at least in NFL wise.
I'm going to push back on it. I don't think Deshaun Watson's really going to be hurt by it. To me, the timing of this is very suspect, very suspicious that all this would come out all at once when he's demanding a trade. It seems to me the optics seem like discrediting his character. And I'm not going to, say that there's nothing to him, but from what I've read and from what I've heard, there's nothing super like I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see um, how this goes down. But I still think this could help him get traded. As far as Houston finally being like, look, let's just move on from this guy. We don't want this drama here, and it might hurt his trade value slightly. But I think a team it would be willing to bite the bullet, take a little bit of publicity heat for bringing him in order to have such a stud franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as I don't know why Houston is trying to hurt this guy's career, but I don't like what they're doing to him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can't say for sure that Houston is behind this. It's just the optics are weird. It's weird timing. I can't say for sure Houston's doing it, but if anything, I think this helps the Texans push him out the door. And Deshaun wants out anyways, and we'll see, what the league investigation ends with. Does he get suspended at all? Does he get in any kind of trouble for this and have to miss time on the field? But legally, I don't think he comes out of this too bad. From what I heard before there was lawsuits, this is all mostly like trying to get money out of Deshaun Watson, from what I've heard. So we'll see.
Yeah, see that's the thing about these sexual assault lawsuits is none of these women want to press charges. Every single one of the ones that they've had happen is money.
Yeah, and whenever that's the case, it raises eyebrows. It makes you question what the true, what's really going on here. Is it a cash grab, or is it a problem? Because it's like 7 different cases right now against Deshaun Watson that came up quickly out of nowhere. So we'll see if it's, gets, we're still pretty early on into it. So we'll see what all happens with it. But early
I hope for the
on,
best.
yeah, I don't think that it hurts Deshaun Watson too much. And I actually do think it helps facilitate the trade. If the Texans are behind it, it's dumb on their part because you want to get the most back for him. And if anything, this hurts his trade value. So I don't understand it. Meanwhile, let's look at the Texans. What do you think of the Texans signing quarterback Tyrod Taylor? Does this indicate that they're ready to move on from Deshaun Watson? Or is this just in case?
Yeah, I think this is a just in case signing because they also got Ryan Finley. So
Yeah.
I think they want somebody that can quickly step in, in case Watson does get traded.
Yeah, and depending on if they get a quarterback back in the trade or what happens. They also bring in running back Mark Ingram. That's a decent move. What are your thoughts on Mark Ingram? Does he still have solid football left in the tank?
Absolutely. And from looking at the list of the free agent signings and everything, Houston is making moves. I can't lie about that.
Yeah, they're making a lot of moves. Dante Moncrief as well, Andre Roberts,
Shaq Lawson.
Shaq Lawson in a trade with Miami, Christian Kirksey from Cleveland, Vernon Hargreaves is re-signed, Desmond King, corner. So they're being aggressive, a lot of moves. I think they're working to quickly change the roster, overhaul the roster there in Houston. So we'll see what happens. The big key for the Texans is the Deshaun Watson move, and we'll see what happens there.
When do you think, if there's a move, when do you think we'll hear something?
By the draft, I think it's coming soon. The Texans are starting to, from what I've seen, admit that they need to trade him. They need to get something done here. It wouldn't surprise me if something's done by the draft, by either before the draft or during it. It could be some blockbuster trade during the draft.
Yeah, I can't wait to find out. It's like sitting on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Now, looking at the Colts, your Colts, not a lot of moves so far. The trade for Carson Wentz. Uh, I mean, what do you think of the Colts offseason so far?
Yeah, it's not been great. I mean, we got Ty on the free agency block, and we also got Naheem Hines and a couple big weapons. So Indianapolis needs to step it up.
Yeah. What do you think of Marlon Mack coming back on a 1 year deal?
That surprises me with the fact that I think Jonathan Taylor is the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Do you think that is a sign that Naheem Hines is gone?
I hope not, but if it is, whoever gets Naheem Hines is going to have a weapon.
See, that's what's interesting to me, and maybe they did. Maybe they brought back Mack because he's cheaper. But I assumed that they were going to bring back Hines to go with Taylor and let Mack go instead of bringing back Mack and letting Hines go.
Yeah, especially Matt coming off that Achilles.
Yeah, and Hines just seems to fit that offense better, but we'll see. Also, Carson Wentz is the new quarterback. He chooses the number two. What do you think of Carson Wentz? What's your expectations for Carson Wentz with the Colts?
Super Bowl or bust.
Okay. I mean, the offensive line is there. We'll see what happens with T.Y. Hilton and the weapons, the receivers. I expect Michael Pittman to have a big second year. That defense is nasty. He did lose to Nico Autry. How do you feel about the defense despite some of their losses?
Yeah, losing Autry is a real big loss because he was one of our leaders on that defensive line. But
Yeah.
I feel like, free agency isn't over yet, and Indianapolis will start making moves here soon.
All right. Sounds good. And hopefully, me and you might have a big interview coming up, a former Colt. Hopefully, that goes through. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's go to the Jags. I mean, new head coach Urban Meyer. Looks like they're going to go Trevor Lawrence. They bring in running back Carlos Hyde. Wide receivers Philip Dorsett, Marvin Jones. They franchise tag their left tackle Cam Robinson. Some
Man,
defense.
they're making some moves.
They are. Urban Meyer's putting his stamp on this roster. Bringing in Roy Robertson Harris, Malcolm Brown, corners Sidney Jones, Shaq Griffin. I like the Shaq Griffin addition. What do you think? The Jags are going to look a lot different in 2021.
Yeah, the Jags are 3 times better, and I think they're gonna compete because I mean Indy, we don't know how Carson Wentz is going to play, and I think Houston is just done for right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I think Jacksonville could be contenders just by the fact that they got Urban Meyer and they're going to draft Trevor Lawrence with these weapons, man. The Jags are coming.
They are, and but I think at least a year out. I think they'll be better, but I don't think they contend for the division. I think this is very clearly a two-horse race between the Colts and the Titans.
Okay, question.
Yeah,
Is it a 100% done deal that Lawrence goes number one?
I believe so. Yes, I think 100%. I think the draft starts at pick number 2. Even last year, if you remember, going, in the weeks heading up to the draft, there were some people saying, I don't know if Joe Burrow's for sure going to Cincy, maybe they take Justin Herbert, maybe they take Tua, but we all knew Joe Burrow was going, number 1. He was a Bengal. Same thing
There's
here.
some
Same
so,
thing.
sorry. There's some big analyst names out there though that are saying Zach Wilson might go number one because they feel he's a better player.
Well, and what that is, two things. Zach Wilson is not as talented as Trevor Lawrence. I believe Trevor Lawrence is one of the most talented quarterbacks coming out of drafts ever. Maybe since Andrew Luck or Deshaun Watson. I think that, more so than Joe Burrow last year. I would be all in on Trevor Lawrence. And what you see from media, national media, they don't like it when they don't like it. So I mean, yeah, I just think they don't like it when it's a for sure thing. It's not anything to talk about, right? And they get their ratings from when there's controversy. So if you say, "Oh, I think Zach Wilson should be the number 1 overall pick," it stirs the pot. But we all know Trevor Lawrence to Jacksonville is a done deal.
Yeah, which Jacksonville would be pretty stupid to pass up on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zach Wilson's talented, and I think if the Jets take him at 2, I don't think it's a bad pick. But compared to Trevor Lawrence, I'd take Trevor Lawrence that day. How do you feel about the Titans? I mean, they're making some moves. I mean, they snagged a Nico Autry from the Colts. That's a big addition to the division rival. Battling for the division. Also, they're bringing in linebacker Bud Dupree. I mean, that's a huge addition. Defense was an issue for the Titans last year. They also bring in Janoris Jenkins and Kevin Johnson, 2 corners. So defense was an issue, and part of the reason that the Titans didn't go as far as they could have last year. And they seem to be really, being aggressive fixing that. What do you think what the Titans are doing? They're going to be a problem.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, they've just signed 3 potential Pro Bowlers in Danico Autry, Bud Dupree, and Janoris Jenkins. I mean,
Yeah.
those were probably the biggest names on the market.
How do you feel about that as a Colts fan?
Man, dude, I just hope. It's going to be a good battle between the best offensive line in the NFL. With possibly the best defensive line. I
Yeah.
mean, you had Bud Dupree, man. He was something else in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. That's a big addition for the Titans. I mean, we'll see on his injury, but I mean, he should be good to go by week 1. And, when healthy, he's a game changer. And then Danico Autry is a beast. Janoris Jenkins. So,
He was leading Pittsburgh in sacks before he tore his ACL.
yeah. Yep. So, we'll see. That AFC South is going to be, in my opinion, a 2-horse race. With Jacksonville is going to be a team to keep an eye on. They're going to be a new look and a rookie Trevor Lawrence. So that'll be fun to watch. But Colts and Titans are going to be the battle. Um, let's go to the AFC West. The Denver Broncos re-sign Shelby Harris, bring in corner Ronald Darby, and franchise tag safety Justin Simmons, and then agreed to a 4-year deal with Justin Simmons, making him the highest paid safety in NFL history. So Broncos clearly focusing on defense with Vic Fangio. What do you expect from the Broncos, though? I mean, you know, I don't know what to think of this team. I'm not sure what they got going on at quarterback with Drew Lock. They've definitely got weapons at receiver and tight end, but the defense is going to be good with Vic Fangio. Now there's talk about the Broncos are the favorite to bring former Bears corner Kyle Fuller as a free agent. So that defense in Denver is going to be nasty.
Yeah, and if they're not all the way in on Drew Lock, this was my dark horse for Sam Darnold.
Okay, Sam Darnold in Denver. That could be interesting.
I mean, that,
or drafting somebody. Maybe this is a sneaky Mac Jones spot.
Yeah, I can see that, but I think Mac is going to a certain place.
Yeah, Sam Darnold to Denver. I could see it, but I just don't know. I mean, what's your opinion on Drew Lock?
I like Drew Lock, but he's had a couple years to be able to show himself, and they still haven't really done nothing.
Yeah, a lot of ups and downs. Like, he shows potential. He has a game-winning drive one week, and then multiple turnovers the next week. So,
which is why I feel like if you can do a trade for Darnold, which I'm sure the Jets won't give up much, granted that they just are not going to want much, granted that they're going to draft Zach Wilson. So why not have Drew Lock sit the bench for a few years behind Sam Darnold?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't know how Drew Lock's going to feel about that. You bring in a Sam Darnold, maybe Drew Lock demands a trade and says, I don't want to be a backup, so.
If you're not getting it done, you ain't getting it done, though.
It's true. I don't know. The Broncos got to figure that out. They have to figure out the quarterback position. The defense will be nasty. I expect the Broncos to have a top 5 defense in the NFL next year, at least top 10. The Kyle Fuller addition in Denver could be huge if that happens. And then they got to figure out the quarterback position and the running back position, and all that. So we'll see what the Broncos do. Looking at the Chiefs, after struggling in the Super Bowl to protect Mahomes, they go offensive line, signing 2 guards. I expected tackles. They signed 2 guards, and Joe Tooney and Kyle Long comes back out of retirement on a 1-year deal. What do you think of the Chiefs going Joe Tooney and Kyle Long?
Yeah, I mean, they almost had to because the 2 guys that they lost were really great. So, what do you do?
Are you surprised that the 2 guys they lost are 2 tackles, and the 2 guys they've signed are 2 guards?
Yeah, that's interesting to me. I don't know what their plan is. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, maybe they'll draft some offensive line. Maybe they're probably not done yet. But yeah, they need to figure out the tackle position. I know they re-signed Mike Remmers, so there's something. But they need to figure out their tackles because tackle was where they got exposed in the Super Bowl too, around the edges. So we'll see what they do there. But I mean, the Joe Tooney addition is good. Kyle Long, I'm not so sure. I mean, we saw Kyle Long at the end in Chicago, and he was a shell of his former self.
Yeah, and I mean, not only do you need to sign tackles, but you need to sign Pro Bowl caliber tackles to protect that $500 million quarterback.
Exactly. When they cut Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, I was like, what are they doing? And you got to protect that guy. You got to protect Mahomes. And I think here's a prediction, a little bit of inside information here. I don't have sources, but I think the Chiefs are in for a major adjustment going into 2021. I think Andy Reid retires. Okay, first and foremost, I think he retires. So Eric Bieniemy becomes the head coach, and I think it's a major adjustment to fix that offensive line, to protect Patrick Mahomes, and I think teams are sort of figuring out a blueprint on how to beat this Chiefs team. I think they take a step back. I think this is more like an 11-5, 10-6 team next year, and we'll see how well a rookie head coach Eric Bieniemy navigates it all. But I think it's going to be a very interesting 2021 for the Chiefs.
Yeah, and especially what's going on with Britt Reed. We don't know the full details yet, but I think that's going to cause Andy Reid too much pressure. So
I agree. I think when the charges officially get filed on Britt Reed, I think Andy Reid's going to retire because he doesn't want to have the team, his players, or himself or his coaching staff to have to answer questions about that all off season. So and be a distraction. I think he's got his Super Bowl championship now. He's older. It doesn't mean that Andy Reid will be done for good. Take a year or two off, wait for all that to die down, and spend some time with your family, and come back somewhere else later.
I mean, yeah, he's already a first ballot Hall of Famer. He has nothing to prove.
Absolutely, and I would think it's going to be hard for Andy Reid to be focused on football when with all this family stuff going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just have to say to all of our listeners, you heard it first from Alex. So as soon as it drops, you heard it first here before you did the regular television.
I'll bring it up when it happens. I've been hesitant to really push it because we haven't heard anything for so long. But when it happens, I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to make sure that everybody knows our podcast was first on it, because I tweeted about this the night before the Super Bowl. I said Andy Reid's going to retire after this game, and nobody's talking about it. Not local media, not national media. You're not hearing it from anybody but us. Andy Reid's retiring. So we'll see if it happens. I hope we're right, and I think we are.
Yeah, let's hope.
Let's go to the Raiders. Signing running back Kenyon Drake to a 2-year deal. That's an interesting move. He'll be number 2 behind Josh Jacobs. They also re-signed Theo Riddick. They bring in wide receiver John Brown, re-sign wide receiver Zay Jones, re-signed guard Richie Incognito, signed center Nick Martin. That's on the offensive side of the ball. What do you think of what the Raiders are doing?
The Raiders are actually making some moves both on offense and defense because Nick Martin is was for Houston and played pretty good at center. Richie Incognito's decent.
Yeah.
Zay Jones performed pretty well for the Raiders, but in my personal opinion, I love the signing of Jonathan Hankins and Yannick Ngakoue, and I think that's huge.
Yeah, the D-line, the Raiders' defense wasn't the greatest last year, so, fixing the D-line is huge. They also got Quentin Jefferson on the D-line and Solomon Thomas. So we'll see. They should be deep at those positions with these moves. They did lose some wide receiver talent in Tyrell Williams and who's the other guy they lost? Nelson Aguilar. So, but Darren Waller's still there, and we'll see if they're maybe in the business for going after a T.Y. Hilton or someone like that. Maybe Sammy Watkins.
And actually just announced a few hours ago, Larry Fitzgerald is now a free agent.
Okay. Larry Fitzgerald now too, so yeah, we'll see what happens there. Do you expect, so looking at the AFC West, you got the Chiefs, of course, are right there. Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers. Who do you think, where the Raiders stack up? Are they a playoff team in 2021?
Oh, man. This is another one. Just like the Dolphins, this is as far as your quarterback will take you.
Yeah. Wait,
I think
wait,
this is up to Derek Carr. This is a prove it season for Derek Carr because if he doesn't lead them to the playoffs, I think Vegas is going to want to go somewhere else.
yeah, there's been hints at it. There's been talk. I mean, the Raiders were one of the teams. Let's not forget the Raiders were in the conversation. One of the destinations Russell Wilson wanted to go to. Yet Gruden and Mike Mayock are both saying, "Hey, Derek Carr's our guy." So if Derek Carr, struggles in 2021, that's going to be something to look back on. But I agree, it is up to Derek Carr to take the next step. There's pressure on John Gruden too. That 10-year, $100 million contract and no playoffs yet to show for it.
Yep, absolutely.
So we'll see what happens there in Vegas. One thing I'm really looking forward to is seeing that new stadium in Vegas packed full of fans.
Yeah, man, it's going to be nice. Full capacity, hopefully. Let's go.
Yeah, the Vegas stadium and the Rams and Chargers stadium will be nice with fans. Speaking of the Chargers, they did lose tight end Hunter Henry, but they signed Jared Cook for a 1 year, $6 million deal. A veteran tight end. They also addressed the offensive line with center Corey Linsley from the Packers. Uh, so, what's your thoughts on the Chargers? People are really high on Justin Herbert after his rookie year, and they expect the Chargers, with their new head coach Brandon Staley to be on the upswing. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I mean, of course, Herbert's going to be a star. I mean, his rookie season all but proved that. But anyway, I thought the Chargers were going to be more aggressive. I know free agency ain't over yet, but they need to go out there and get that young kid some weapons.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I'm not as sold on Justin Herbert being a star as everyone else is.
What's your reasoning behind that? Because he had one hell of a rookie season.
I think he had a good rookie season. I don't think that he blew my doors off or anything. He didn't. I don't know. He had a good rookie season, but I mean, he's better than Tua, and I think that elevates it and makes people think he's crazy good. But I don't. You know what? If I'm looking at, I don't know. He could be good. I'm just not ready to say it yet. I think that he's got to prove it more, and he's got to prove it more with wins, and he's got to prove it more with getting more out of the team. I don't know. I don't really have a lot to base it on. I'm just not ready to say that he's a future star yet.
I understand. I mean, you have high expectations for rookies.
Well, not necessarily, but I'm a prove it guy. I'm not just going to crown someone. I mean, I'm the same way with Kyler Murray. I think most people would say Kyler Murray is a star or a future star, and I'm not ready to say that yet either. So, they got to prove it to me. They got to do it, when their back's against the wall and fight through adversity, and that's when I'll say he's a star. So, second year for Justin Herbert, I'm going to keep an eye on it. And if he balls out, then I'll absolutely say it. But the second year is also one of the tougher years for a quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's going to have one hell of a year, though.
Where do you think the Chargers are in that division, though? I mean, Raiders are tough. Chiefs, that we know, are tough. Broncos are going to be damn good defensively, at least. I mean, we could say Justin Herbert is a future star, but I could easily say the Chargers are the last place in that division next year, too.
I'm going to go with Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's not like he doesn't have weapons. You're talking Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and those guys. So he's got weapons to throw a ball to. We'll see. In my opinion, Justin Herbert needs to get that team in the playoffs, and then I'll be more excited about him. Let's go to the Dallas Cowboys, who signed Dak Prescott 4-year, $160 million deal. So that's huge for the Cowboys. Shoring up Dak Prescott, getting him paid what he deserves. They also address offensive line with Ty Neski, defensive end Brett Urban, re-signed corner Jordan Lewis. What do you think of the Cowboys of getting Dak Prescott back? He was on pace for 6,000 yards before he got hurt. I think the Cowboys are going to be, ready to go, ready to win the division, back to the playoffs next year.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to debate this with you. I honestly don't believe Dak is worth being the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now.
Well, do you think he's earned it based on his play in Dallas?
Yeah, but based on his pay, but he's 1-2 in the playoffs. I mean, he doesn't have a winning playoff record. Mahomes is a $500 million man because he won a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and I mean, there are other quarterbacks out there who I think, are better than Dak, who should be paid more. And, that's just my opinion on him. Plus, the Cowboys doing that, they're not able to address other issues.
So let's do a hypothetical here. Would you right now, because the Cowboys were on Russell Wilson's list as well, and I think Seattle would do it, would you trade Dak Prescott for Russell Wilson?
Absolutely.
He's younger though.
I know, but Cowboys fans want to win now.
Yeah. And so does Jerry Jones. See, that's the thing. If you're not sold on Dak Prescott, and Seattle would take him, Seattle would take Dak Prescott. That's not a bad fallback.
It's not that I'm not sold on him. It's how much he got paid. He hasn't, just like, we were just talking about Herbert proving to you, he hasn't proven to me that he deserves that much money. Yes, he's great. He's going to be one of the greatest statistical quarterbacks, I think, of all time, but it has to come down to winning championships, and he's not the guy to do it.
Well, that's true, but I'll say this, so that's the going rate, right? That's the going rate for a top quarterback. So he's going to get paid that. I mean, in the same way, remember when Jay Cutler was the NFL's highest paid quarterback for a second?
Yeah, but I mean,
it happened.
These quarterbacks need to take, something out of Brady's playbook. Why does Tom Brady have 7? Because he would rather take a pay cut and win a championship than take all that money.
Well, and that's where it comes to priorities for some players. Dak Prescott, coming off a major injury, looking to cash in on his first major contract, it was obvious that money was more important to Prescott at this point in his career than helping out the Cowboys. Prescott wanted to get paid, and that was the most important thing to him. And I can understand that coming off a major injury, you want that security. But, I mean, look around the league. How many Tom Brady's are there willing to take that much of a team-friendly deal? Tom Brady is different. Nobody is Tom Brady. No, and it's a reason nobody else has 7 championships.
I totally understand that. And yeah, it is the norm nowadays for quarterbacks to be paid that high, but I just feel like if he would have took less and addressed the major issues in Dallas could be contenders, and he could be one of the greatest Dallas quarterbacks ever.
Yeah. It's interesting, and we'll see how it goes, but I mean, I don't blame Dak for wanting to get paid. I think he should have been paid. He had to wait longer than he should have to get this deal.
Okay, so let's say he doesn't do nothing in that 4 years, but still got paid that much. Does his career get tarnished?
It's hard to say. I think it's still too early for Dak to say about his career. He should have a long year in Dallas, a long career in Dallas, and really think about it like this. He doesn't need 7 championships to be a legend. in Dallas as a member of the Cowboys, he only needs one championship, and he'll be a legend. He'll be put up there with uh, the Cowboy legends, Troy Aikman, and
Roger Staubach.
yeah, Staubach. Like that's all he needs. You know, Tony Romo's a legend in Dallas, and he never won a championship.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I just have my opinion on the money, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, there's very few that are. I mean, Carson Wentz didn't take no team friendly deal. He wanted to get paid. You know, it's rare. It's very rare, especially when you're a young quarterback. You know, coming off your rookie deal, looking to get paid. They're not interested in team friendly. You know, Tom Brady later in his career, after he's already been paid and made, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars, then it's much easier late in your career to take pay cuts and chase championships than early in your career. That's what I would say on that. But
I understand your point.
I hear what you're saying though. Um, so we'll see what the Cowboys do. I mean, they're going to be right there in the mix, and expectations are going to be to win the division, especially based off how bad it was last year.
And I don't think they win the division. I think that definitely goes to Washington.
I mean, who's watching? Ryan Fitzpatrick? I don't know. Because
Washington's defense is elite, though.
their defense is nasty. We'll get to Washington here in a second. We'll go to Washington right now. So, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I like it. 1 year, $10 million deal. But if I was Washington, I would have been all in on Deshaun Watson. I would have been trying to get Russell Wilson. I would have been trying to get a franchise quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick, all he does is buy you a year. And what we've seen, when you give Ryan Fitzpatrick the starting quarterback position, he's hot and cold. He's much better in that bench role to come off the bench and play well than he is as your 16, 17 game starter.
So, would you have rather been comfortable if they would have re-signed Alex Smith?
I don't know how comfortable I would be there either, based on his injury history. And it wouldn't surprise me, honestly. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if Washington's still in the quarterback market and takes like Mac Jones at pick 19 if he's there. Or even takes a flyer on Pond out of Texas A&M.
But what about Tyler Heineke?
I'm not sold on Heineke just because
he played very well against Tampa.
I know, man. That's what everyone's holding there. That's what everyone brings up with him. But I wasn't as impressed with Heineke in that game as everybody else. Like, sure, he played well, but is he a franchise quarterback? Is he someone you just say, that's my quarterback, and build around him? I don't necessarily agree that he is. Like anybody can have one good game, but are you consistent enough to put together 14 good games in a season? And Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't that either. And
his name is Fitzmagic for a reason.
yeah, and it's also Fitztragic at times too. So, you know, we'll see what happens with Washington. I would have rather, I think something that would have made more sense for Washington is somebody younger. I mean, I was saying Cam Newton just because of Ron Rivera connection, and who knows there. But like Teddy Bridgewater could have been interesting. Jacoby Brissett could have been interesting. Ryan Fitzpatrick's decent, but I think they could have been better too.
I'd like to say, keep an eye on a Justin Fields if he ends up falling, or even a Trey Lance.
Yeah. But I also think that those quarterbacks that are so hungry or thirsty for, or teams that are so hungry and thirsty for quarterbacks, that they're gonna take quarterbacks higher than they should. I think Justin Fields goes top 5, and I think Trey Lance goes top 10, and Mac Jones might go top 10 as well.
But you had a point about Kellen Mond. He fits the Ron Rivera type of quarterback.
Yeah, I could see Kellen Mond. I could see Kyle Trask too. It wouldn't surprise me if Washington, even Jamie Newman, it wouldn't surprise me if Washington takes a quarterback, not necessarily round 1, but in the draft.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so we'll see what they do. They also signed Lamar Miller and wide receiver Curtis Samuel. I agree with you. The defense is nasty, and the skill position is getting better too. Washington's going to be a fun team to watch.
Which is why I think they win that division.
I think looking at the division right now, Washington, Philly. Let's talk about the Eagles and Giants here. The Eagles haven't done much. Um, they lost Alshon Jeffrey. They lost Deshaun Jackson. They lost Carson Wentz. Uh, they lost. Did they lose Zach Ertz? Is he gone yet?
I have not checked into that.
I think he's still on the roster, but Philly is going through a little bit of a rebuild here around Jalen Hurts. What do you think of the Eagles going into 2021?
Yeah, I don't see them doing much in free agency. I think they're going to put all their chips in the draft.
In the draft and go young and rebuild.
Yep, go young, rebuild, and stay young because of Jalen Hurts and everything. So I think it's going to be a complete rebuild over in Philly.
Yeah.
Philly fans don't want to hear that though, so I hope if they listen to the podcast, they don't know who I am.
Yeah, they are going with a little bit of a rebuild, building around Jalen Hurts. And what do you think about that, by the way? Should the Eagles be in the quarterback market at pick number 6 for a Justin Fields, for a Trey Lance, for a Mac Jones, or should they be all in on Jalen Hurts and build around him?
You should absolutely build around Jalen Hurts because it would have been pretty pointless to have brought him off the bench if you were going to draft a quarterback in this draft. I mean,
yeah,
because
is Jalen Hurts good enough? Is he a franchise quarterback?
That's a risk that the Eagles are going to have to take. I mean, if you draft Fields or somebody like Mac Jones, they're going to want to start right away, especially being a top 5, top 6 pick.
Yeah, you'll have an immediate quarterback controversy just like you had last year.
A perfect pick for the Eagles, I'm telling you, would be Jamar Chase.
Or Jalen Waddle. Either way.
Yeah.
Or Devontae Smith. But go wide receiver there. I think we agree on that. All right, let's look at the Giants. They got Daniel Jones. He's their franchise quarterback. They bring in Mike Glennon, which good luck with that.
He's still in the league?
Huh? Yeah, apparently. They bring in Kyle Rudolph at tight end to go opposite Evan Ingram. They bring in wide receiver John Ross. What do you think of the Giants? I like Kyle Rudolph. That's a decent addition. I like signing Leonard Williams and Reggie Ragland. But, they're in a similar position as Philly with quarterback Daniel Jones, supposed to be the franchise quarterback. How do you feel about the Giants and their quarterback situation?
I think as of now, they're going to be all in on Daniel Jones.
And is that smart, though? Will it lead to success? Will it lead to playoffs?
They have yet to build around him, but looking at this free agency, they're doing a pretty damn good job. So let's see what he can do with the addition of John Ross and Kyle Rudolph and Devontae Booker.
Yeah, and they're close to signing Kenny Galladay as well. That could be a good addition there.
Yeah, so Daniel Jones isn't terrible either, though. He had the Giants on the verge of making the playoffs last season.
Yeah, but in a terrible division.
Hey, that's not his fault.
And there is some good news if they can get if Saquon Barkley is back and healthy and ready to go, that'll help things. They lost Barkley really early, week 2 last year for the season, and that definitely hurt.
Yeah. Losing your star player is terrible.
So what do you? So you've got Washington winning this division. Me looking at it right now, I got the Cowboys.
Oh man, you sound just like Marcus Spears.
I think Dak Prescott, all those weapons. I mean, when Dak was healthy last year, man, he was slinging it to those weapons.
They were still losing though.
Where he was, they had to put up like 40 plus to win, and so that's one thing they need to address the defense. They need to get much better defensively.
They
Um,
have no money left though, so how do you get better defensively?
they need to do something. Jerry Jones needs to get to work. Because I mean, we all know Jerry Jones is trying to win the Super Bowl every year, and they need to act like it.
They need to restructure some of them contracts.
Yeah. All right, let's go to my Bears. This is
Oh
what
boy,
we're going
this
to talk
game sucks.
about. So I mean, you know, after last season, the way it ended, it was pretty much evident we're going to move on from Mitch Trubisky. That I'm okay with. The way the season ended last year, losing to the Packers, losing to the Saints, I wasn't thoroughly impressed with Trubisky in those games. I didn't think he gave us a great chance to win those games. So I was cool with moving on, especially when you talk about the opportunity to go get maybe Deshaun Watson, maybe Russell Wilson. And there was a lot of smoke around the Bears and Russell Wilson. And then when we settle and sign Andy Dalton to a 1 year, $10 million deal and tell him Andy Dalton said he was told that he's the week 1 starter when they signed him. Bro, what are we doing? I mean, Andy Dalton last year was signed to a 1 year, $3 million deal in Dallas. Why we decided to triple his salary and bring him in as our starter makes zero sense to me, bro. You're an outsider. You're not a Bears fan. Tell me how you see it from your point of view.
Well, to be honest, this is the Bears organization and Ryan Pace not caring. This was a lazy signing, and this right here proves that he just doesn't care about the franchise. Mike Wilbon himself said it. He said Ryan Pace, Matt Nagy, and the whole Bears organization doesn't care.
So you're so they're the GM and head coach, and they don't care about winning. That makes zero sense to me. I mean,
I
I'm not
mean,
saying you, but like, so, um, so what we were told after the season ended, there was a lot of press conferences and Ted Phillips and McCaskey's talking, George McCaskey, and there was talk about urgency. There was talking about everything is here to win except for everything all the pieces are in fit except for the quarterback position and just a few more wins and going further in the playoffs. We had a dominant defense. The pieces are there. And GM Ryan Pace even said quarterback is of utmost importance this offseason, and it's a critical offseason for the Bears. And in
yeah,
my opinion, it's like when I look at the Bears and I look at ownership, it looks like we're not trying to win. It looks like we're not even competing. And now it looks like we're headed towards a rebuild. And it makes zero sense. I don't know what's going on in Chicago, and I'm a diehard fan. Um, I don't understand it. The Dalton signing makes zero sense. Andy Dalton and Nick Foles are like the same quarterback. It makes zero sense. I mean, maybe we'll draft a quarterback, But in my opinion, if you're going to draft a quarterback like Mac Jones, even if you have to trade up to do it, what's the need for Andy Dalton? Why can't Nick Foles be your bridge quarterback then for the rookie?
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, I should have said it differently. I wasn't exactly saying that they don't care to win, but they're not showing
Trying
that they
to.
want to win.
Yeah. And so that leads me to believe it. So Bears fans and a lot of people assumed after the way the season ended, we were going to fire both GM Ryan Pace for his inability to sign, bring in enough talent, and especially at the quarterback position, and fire Matt Nagy. I mean, last year all the talk was the scapegoat was Mitch Trubisky. It was like we can't win with Trubisky because he isn't good enough. All right, that's fine if that's where you want to go. So we signed Nick Foles, who's a perfect fit in Matt Nagy's offense and the coaching staff and the offense we're trying to run. So we benched Trubisky week 3 and go with Nick Foles. And what happened? The offense got worse. The offense was worse under Nick Foles. It was one of the worst offenses that I've ever seen. And especially in the modern era. And so that tells me right there that Ryan Pace and 3 quarterbacks that he's chosen to be the starter, Mike Glennon, Mitch Trubisky, and Nick Foles, have all sucked. All right? So if that's the case, why does Ryan Pace still have a job?
All right, so hear me out. 2 things, and you can agree or disagree with me. All right, so I see it as Andy Dalton is definitely a step down from Trubisky. As much as you guys hated Mitchell, he still got you to the playoffs. I don't think Dalton can
Absolutely.
get you there.
We were in the playoffs 2 out of 3 years with him.
I don't think Andy Dalton gets you guys there.
No.
And secondly, I think if Nagy doesn't show anything mid-season, he's gone.
I think it's hard to say because so if I'm Matt Nagy, I'm upset too. If I'm the head coach, I'm upset because I know I'm on the hot seat. I know this is 2021 is a must-win season for me. Otherwise, I'm getting fired, right? So, and you go out there and you give me Andy Dalton when Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson are rumored to be available. That makes zero sense. My other gripe here too is that Russell Wilson wanted to go to Chicago. He listed the Bears, he put the Bears on his list of where he wanted to go, of 4 teams that he would take a trade to. And the leaks that the Bears offered 3 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and 2 starters. And the Seahawks said no. In my opinion, it's Russell freaking Wilson. Like, I don't know that 3 firsts and 2 starters is enough. Do you?
No, you have to give up
Even
damn near
more.
half your franchise.
Yeah. So do it. From my perspective, if Russell Wilson's available, he wants to go to Chicago. The Seahawks are willing to trade him. At least from what I've seen, and they were mad at him for his comments on the Dan Patrick show. He wants out. They seem to be willing to trade him or open to hearing offers. Make it. I've been saying this all off season. When it comes to regards to quarterback Watson or Russell Wilson, make the team an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah, see?
Huh?
Yeah, see, I mean, that's when you should have offered Kyle Fuller, Khalil Mack, all your first round picks, and many other players.
Like, look, if that's what it takes to get Russell Wilson, give him 4 first round picks, give him Khalil Mack, Kyle Fuller, and Nick Foles or Carson Wentz now that he's a. But make it happen. And the reason I was so upset when the Andy Dalton move was made is because it's a complete like cop out. It's a complete like look. They never made a deal. They never tried. It's like they tried. They put together a trade offer for Russell Wilson that they knew wasn't going to be accepted, so that they could explain to their fans, look, we tried to get Russell Wilson, but Seattle wouldn't trade him. No, dumbasses, you didn't give him a good enough trade offer. You didn't even try. Stop trying to sell us on, oh, we try, but we can't get player X. No, you don't try hard enough. The Bears are not trying to win. And the fact that they're not trying to win has me, as a lifelong diehard Bears fan, I'm not ready to not watch Bears, ready to not support the Bears next year.
You're honestly not the only one, man. I
Yeah,
work with Bears fans, and I got Bears fans on my Facebook. They're pissed. Even another diehard Bears fan, I'm gonna bring him up again. Mike Wilbon, dude, he's even not happy about it.
yes, they they have 100% reason to be upset. This team is not trying to win, and they're not being honest with us. They
So
wouldn't they wouldn't tell us Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy's contract situation. They wouldn't go into detail on that. So what they're saying is that they're not trying to win, and the GM's job is safe. So Ryan Pace can go out there and not get a franchise quarterback, sign Andy Dalton, and still keep his job. So if that's the case, then what am I doing as a fan? Why am I wasting time watching this franchise put a trash product on the field and getting mad? Remember how mad I was after the Packers loss?
yeah,
That's not going to be me anymore. I'm not going to care anymore. I'm going to be like, oh, well, I saw that coming. When the Bears lose to the Packers this year, 47-17, you're not going to have me on the podcast all upset, all pissed off, asking for accountability, because I already know there is no accountability. There is no effort to win. There is no effort to even contend in that division. The Bears are content finishing in fourth place in the division, and that's where I believe they will end. I believe the Bears' ceiling in 2021 with Andy Dalton as a Week 1 starter is 6 wins. And
so do you think Nagy had a decision in this or not?
no, this was Ryan Pace all the way.
Well, if I was Nagy, then I'd be pretty pissed off.
I would be too. Imagine being Matt Nagy, though. I'm a big time hater of Matt Nagy. I don't like him. I think he's a trash coach. But imagine being Matt Nagy. And ever since I was hired by the Bears, they've given me Mitch Trubisky, Chase Daniel, Nick Foles, and now Andy Dalton. I would be like, how can anybody win with that? That's what I would say. And it might not be true because I believe you can win with Trubisky, but I don't know that anybody can win with Nick Foles and Andy Dalton at this point in their career. So I would be upset, but to his credit, or to his, to go against Matt Nagy, he also didn't try to win with Trubisky. He didn't play to the strengths of the team. He didn't exhaust every opportunity, every attempt to try and win. He just kept trying to, smash his head against the wall and do the same shit over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And so, this team is just trash right now. It really is. There's no hope. Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
If they was to trade up and get Mac Jones, would that make you feel better? Or?
Well, I would still wonder why we signed Andy Dalton. I will never understand the Andy Dalton signing. It makes zero sense to me. For, just his skill set on top of the money. The money makes zero sense to me. How much would you be willing to give Andy Dalton right now on a 1-year deal?
Well, I mean, like you said, if Jerry Jones offered him $3 million, I'd probably offer him, 2 million again.
2 million. Yeah, that's what I would give him. 10 million makes 0 cents. Ryan Fitzpatrick got signed by Washington to a 1 year, $10 million deal. If the Bears had signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, I wouldn't be upset right now. Not nearly as upset. I would actually be like, that makes sense. Because it would tell me that we're going to trade Nick Foles. Ryan Fitzpatrick is our bridge quarterback, and we're going to draft somebody like Mac Jones or whoever. But that, so I guess if you're going to say Andy Dalton's your bridge, sure, what the hell? As long as we draft somebody, a quarterback. But why couldn't it have been Nick Foles? Like, it makes no sense why we go Andy Dalton here.
Yeah, I guess that's something Bears fans will never be able to figure out.
Yeah, and so here's my biggest issue. I am never going to root for or support an organization in sports that is scared, that is passive, that is afraid to make moves. And the Bears are that. They're afraid of overspending for Russell Wilson or Deshaun. They're afraid of of doing something too aggressively. In my opinion, for a franchise that hasn't had a quarterback for 70 years, going back to Sid Luckman, that's what the Bears are known for, never having a quarterback. And in the offseason, where both Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson are available, I don't care what the Texans or Seahawks tell me. I make them an offer that they can't refuse. I keep calling back until they say yes, until they say deal. I give up 4 first-round picks. I give up Khalil Mack. I give up Roquan Smith if I have to. I give up whoever I have to get Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson on my team. And then I address it from there. But to sign Andy Dalton makes 0 sense, and it just shows me that we're not trying to win. And so why would I continue to support that?
It's a slap in the face to Bears fans, to be honest.
It is. It's a 100% a slap in the face to anybody that's, I was a Trubisky fan, but there's a lot of Bears fans who couldn't stand Mitch Trubisky, and who were so upset that, and I was upset too, that we didn't take Deshaun Watson instead of Trubisky or Patrick Mahomes. So let's say you're a Bears fan that's been upset about Trubisky for 3 years. You're like, we've had to put up with this, right? One of the worst starters in the NFL statistically. And finally, we're going to move on from Trubisky. Wow, who are we going to upgrade with? Who's the next guy? How are we going to, finally get a quarterback in here? And we go and sign Andy Dalton? Really? That's the answer? That's the upgrade? Come on. Since 2017, statistically, Mitch Trubisky has better stats than Andy Dalton. So we literally got worse.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for you Bears fans, but,
Well, don't include me in that then, because I'm not a Bears fan in 2021. You won't see me repping it. You won't see me wearing Bears gear in 2021. Maybe in 2022, if we fire Matt Nagy, if we fire Ryan Pace, if we get a goddamn quarterback. But until then, no Bears gear, no getting pissed off. I don't care. I have 0 expectations. These Bears can go 0-16. I won't be pissed.
Yeah, and I just want to say this. Hey, Chicago, there's a guy who currently works for ESPN who I think would be a great GM, Louis Riddick.
Yeah. Louis Riddick. This offseason, the Bears could have fired Pace, fired Nagy, hired Louis Riddick, hired Eric Bieniemy, and gone and gotten Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. How would we be feeling then?
You guys would be on top of the NFL world.
Yep. All it takes is some action and some aggressiveness, and the Bears have none of it. So, trash. I don't support trash, and if you're going to make trash decisions, count me out. So rant over. Allen Robinson gets franchise tagged and signs that. He didn't want to sign the franchise tag, but then we brought in Kenny Galladay for a visit, and suddenly Allen Robinson signs the franchise tag. I think it's smart because you look at the open market right now. I don't see Allen Robinson getting 18 mil a year.
Yeah, I don't either. I have to agree with that. That was a smart decision.
Yeah. So, but enough of the Bears. I don't even want to talk about this team. Like I said, if the Bears go 6-10, that's their ceiling. They're not making the playoffs. You know, they now we've cut Kyle Fuller. We're talking about trading Akeem Hicks. We're talking about trading Eddie Jackson. Dude, it's a complete rebuild in Chicago, and I'm not here for it. Let's go to the Lions. So, how do you feel about the Lions? They bring in running back Jamal Williams. They bring in wide receivers Brashad Perriman, Tyrell Williams. They trade for Michael Brockers. Now they've got Jared Goff at quarterback. So it'll be a totally different looking Lions team in 2021. How do you feel about what they're doing, the moves they're making?
Yeah, I mean, it shows that they're trying. I mean, Jamal Williams is a decent back. Rashad Perriman was the best receiver on the Jets. You know, Tyrell Williams was next to Darren Waller, I believe, the next good receiver on the Vegas. And I think the Lions are being aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, not too bad. It's nice to see them doing something. Um, Now, what do you think of this? I mean, Jared Goff is a downgrade compared to Matthew Stafford, right?
Absolutely.
So he's a downgrade. What is they lose Kenny Galladay, so that's a downgrade. I mean, Tyrell Williams and Brashad Perriman, those are nice pieces, but I don't think they got better in the receiving end. Um, the Jamal Williams signing is interesting to me because they have on Johnson, they have DeAndre Swift. Now they signed Jamal Williams. I think Jamal Williams is a bad sign for Detroit because it means that they're not sold on on Johnson. He's not living up to where like his expectations. And I was super high on on Johnson coming out of Auburn. But do you agree? I feel like the Lions are kind of like not sold on on Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that a lot last season too. You know, with
Yeah,
Adrian
the Adrian
Peterson being
Peterson
there.
move and stuff. The Swift's drafting, stuff like that, yeah. Go ahead. So yeah, I mean, what do you think? I mean, the Lions are probably going to be worse though in 2021 than last year. Would you agree?
I mean, I wouldn't say worse because I think Michael Brockers is going to help their defense be better.
Okay, he'll help, but I mean, they're losing Desmond Trufant. He just signed with the Bears. Um, who else they're losing? I mean, no more Stafford, no more Galladay. I don't know. I think they're worse. I think they're like a 5-11, 6-10 at best team. I think the Bears and Lions are going to be the two worst teams in that division.
Yeah, I could see them being 6-10, but I mean, maybe golf. Maybe this is new to Goff's career.
I don't think so. I think there's no way Jared Goff is any better in Detroit than he was in LA. When he was with the Rams, he had a lot of playmakers, and he was playing in Sean McVay's offense, which can make any quarterback look good. He had who was that backup? Woodard or something like that. He had some backup that was
Walford.
Wolford. Yeah, he had John Wolford looking good for a second. Like Sean McVay can make any quarterback look good, and the fact that McVay didn't like Goff anymore is not a good sign. I don't think Jared Goff has much success in Detroit.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think the Rams got a freaking steal.
In what? In Stafford?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an upgrade for sure. Um, but I mean, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I mean, do you think it was the right time for Detroit to move on from Stafford, or would you have kept him?
I think Stafford himself probably wanted to start to explore something new. I mean, he's at, at his best, he's a top seven quarterback, and he definitely deserves to be on a team that's going to win. And the Lions aren't trying to win.
Yeah, and so we'll see. It'll be an adjustment for Detroit. I think it's a mini rebuild. I just saw the Texans sign the running back Philip Lindsay, former Bronco running back. Just saw that. Now let's go. Let's go to the Packers. Not a lot of movement from Green Bay. They keep Aaron Jones, but lose Jamal Williams. I expected Aaron Jones to be gone. I didn't think that he'd be back. Are you surprised to see him stay with the Packers?
Yeah, because I mean, I was hearing that he was all but gone from Green Bay.
Yeah, I thought he was going to Miami or something. So that's a good move for them keeping him. They do lose Jamal Williams. And we'll see what the Packers do in the draft. Not a lot of free agency moves for Green Bay.
They need to
Um,
go get a receiver. They need a receiver.
Yep, and I've got him mocked Rashad Bateman out of the University of Minnesota. So we'll see if the Packers go receiver. But this is the third straight mock draft for me, third straight year that I have the Packers taking a receiver. And they didn't take one the last 2 years, so we'll see if they do it this time.
Why not go out and offer somebody like Galladay or something?
Yeah, they could go get Galladay. They could go get, Rashad Bateman. They could get
T.Y. Hilton.
yeah, T.Y. Hilton, maybe Kadarius Toney, something like that. So, I mean, if I were them, I'd go get two. I'd go get a veteran receiver like T.Y., Sammy Watkins, or, one of those guys, or I would go and I would draft somebody as well.
Yeah.
Looking at the Vikings, their big signing is Patrick Peterson from the Cardinals at corner. That's a good move for them.
Yeah. I love that signing.
Yeah, it seems to be a good fit. I think he'll do well there. I expect the Vikings to bounce back and potentially make the playoffs next year.
Yeah, I agree.
They also signed Dalvin Tomlinson to a 2-year deal. Um, Stephen Weatherly. So, Vikings and Packers. That's the North, and the Bears and Lions will be fighting for the scraps. Let's go to the NFC South. The Falcons. They acquire in a trade tight end Lee Smith from the Bills. What do you make of the Falcons? I think they're in my mock draft. I have them taking Justin Fields at pick number 4, and have him sit behind Matt Ryan, redshirt, for as long as possible, potentially the entire 2021 season. I think that could be best fit. Do you think it's time the Falcons look to move on from Matt Ryan?
I don't think it's time to move on right now, but it is time to start thinking about getting your next franchise quarterback.
Yeah. We got a new head coach there, Arthur Smith, so we'll see if he wants to take the offense in a new direction.
I mean, Matt Ryan is still throwing for 4,000 yards a game or a season. So
Yeah. I mean, why can't the Bears do something like that? Why couldn't they make a run at even Matt Ryan? Try to trade for Matt Ryan from Atlanta.
yeah, I think that would have been a great trade for Chicago.
Yeah, but he could have been. You could trade for Matt Ryan and draft Mac Jones and have Matt Ryan be a great bridge quarterback and sit Mac Jones for a year, potentially 2, and see what you can get out of Matt Ryan with a dominant defense. I mean, so much more shit that makes so much sense for the Bears that they're just doing the exact opposite. So
Bears could have probably had a Super Bowl by now if they would have made the right
absolutely,
choice.
but they're too scared to be aggressive and actually shoot for it. They keep telling their fans, "Wait, be patient, one more year," and then they never do anything. So Looking at the Panthers, they signed David Moore from the Seahawks at wide receiver. They also fixed the offensive line with Cam Irving, Taylor Moton, and Pat Elflein. Um, what do you think happens in Carolina? I mean, I like their moves, and I think they go get like Trey Lance or someone in the draft, maybe Mac Jones. What do you think the Panthers do at quarterback?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Trey Lance.
What about some hints at Deshaun Watson to Carolina?
Do they have the pieces to send in a trade for Deshaun?
Well, they have to use draft capital for sure, the draft picks, and then I don't know who else. Maybe Brian Burns. I don't know some pieces, but maybe they definitely have to find their next franchise quarterback though this offseason.
I think they go after Trey Lance.
Yeah, Trey Lance makes the most sense to me. The Saints. So Drew Brees retires. They bring back Jameis Winston on a 1-year deal. Who do you think starts week 1 for the Saints? Who's the quarterback? Is it Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill?
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I agree.
If
You think there's any way Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback?
no, if I was Sean Payton, I
Yeah.
would keep the same formula and keep Taysom Hill as the jack of all trades. I mean, he could be your secret weapon.
Yep. And what if Sean Payton fixes Jameis Winston? What if Winston becomes like an elite franchise quarterback under Sean Payton?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it happen before, with Teddy Bridgewater. So
Yeah. I mean, if Winston can cut down on the turnovers, he recently had LASIK surgery to fix his vision. So who knows? Saints will be an interesting team to watch in 2021 quarterback and all that. So we'll see if they keep Michael Thomas or if he gets moved or not. But
they
um,
signed Ty Montgomery.
yeah, they brought him back on a 1-year deal.
Huh, not bad.
Yeah. So that'll be a team to keep an eye on. Let's look at the Bucks. Chris Godwin's going to stay. Franchise tag him. Gronk is coming back on a 1-year, $8 million deal. Shaquille Barrett is re-signed on a 4-year deal. Levante David re-signs on a 2-year deal. Kicker Ryan Suckup is back on a 3-year deal. The Bucks, man, they're doing everything possible to run it back and try to repeat as champions.
Yeah, and the fact that we don't know if they're going to trade for Odell Beckham Jr.
They could bring back Antonio Brown potentially. They could try to bring in Odell Beckham Jr. It'll be interesting to see, but I think the Bucks are going to be the team to beat once again.
Who would they have to give up to get Odell?
That I don't know, but like you said, maybe a Mike Evans.
Oh
But,
yeah, yep. That's
let's go to the Cardinals. Cardinals loaded team. They bring in AJ Green. But a lot of people say, they bring in AJ Green. That's an indication that Larry Fitzgerald's on the way out. And did you say they released Fitzgerald?
yeah, he has officially become a free agent.
All right, so I don't look at it as that as really an upgrade. I think that Larry Fitzgerald was a better receiver last year than AJ Green, and AJ Green's getting old. So, I see Christian Kirk and DeAndre Hopkins as being the best, weapons there. And AJ Green, we'll see what you can get out of him, but I don't see the Cardinals getting that much better. They did trade for center Rodney Hudson. That's a good move. And they signed J.J. Watt. That's a good move. J.J. Watt is older as well, so we'll see how much he has left in the tank. What are your expectations? How much better do you think the Cardinals will be next season?
I think they get into the playoffs. I mean, everybody's sleeping on AJ Green. If he can stay healthy, have people seen what he's capable of doing?
I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen it with AJ Green for like 3 to 4 years now. You know,
They've got,
like, and it's not entirely his fault. He's been injured. He hasn't had great quarterback play. But so we'll see what he can do with Kyler Murray. I'm just not sold that AJ Green has much left in the tank. But he has an opportunity to prove us wrong. Kyler Murray is going to throw him the ball, so we'll see if he can get it done. I don't think the Cardinals are that much better than last year, and I don't think the biggest issue is the players. I think it's head coach Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not a fan of like always going for it on fourth down and always going for two. I think that decisions like that, took 2 or 3 wins away from him last year.
yeah, I agree.
So but they were close to making the playoffs. But if Russell Wilson stays in Seattle, that division's still tough with the Rams. If the Rams got better, the Seahawks will still be good. And who knows, maybe the Niners will be better if they're healthy.
And yeah, and actually, the Niners are dangerous if they're 100% healthy.
Yeah. There's an argument to be made that the Cardinals could finish last in that division next year.
Ooh, you said last?
Yeah, they could be worse than the Niners. I think they're definitely worse than the Rams, and I think they're worse than the Seahawks right now.
So that's basically saying you have no trust in Kyler Murray.
I mean, I think they have another. I think they miss the playoffs again, and I think they fire Cliff Kingsbury. That's what I think happens.
Ooh, a lot of firings this year.
Yeah. So it'll be an interesting year. Cardinal fans, they're not expecting to miss the playoffs. They were expecting to be in the playoffs last year, and if they're not in the playoffs again in 2021, then they're really going to hear it. So we'll see what happens there. Like I said, the Rams they signed Leonard Floyd to a 4-year deal, keep him. They upgrade at quarterback with Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff. How high are you on the Rams? Do you think this is a potential Super Bowl team, or is this just a playoff team?
I think they're a potential Super Bowl team. I mean, we seen last year, this past playoffs when they went to Green Bay, they had the defense. They were just one good quarterback away from winning that game.
Yeah, the defense shut down Seattle in the playoffs. So the defense is definitely damn good. My issue with the Rams is this, and it's been my issue with Matthew Stafford his entire career. 0-3 in the playoffs. And that's not entirely his fault. But so I expect this Rams team to be in the playoffs, but Matthew Stafford has to prove it that he can win in the playoffs. The same way Lamar Jackson had to prove it last year. He finally got his first playoff win. Matthew Stafford's much older and has to prove to the entire world that he can win a playoff game. And he'll have the defense, he'll have the weapons. He should be able to do it. But I'm not willing to sit here and say that he's going to do it.
I 100% agree, but I just feel like Jared Goff was holding that team back really bad.
Oh, I agree. Matthew Stafford's an upgrade, and Jared Goff was holding that team back 100%. So, I expect this team to be in the hunt, and they could definitely win that division. So the Rams will be fun to watch with Matthew Stafford at quarterback, and there's going to be high expectations in LA. That new stadium with a packed full of fans, it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, but see, man, all this talk's got me hyped already. Why does it only have to be March?
Exactly. I'm ready for the draft, too. Let's look at the Niners. Trent Williams is re-signed, 6-year, $138 million deal. Huge deal for him. They signed Alex Mack at center. They re-signed fullback Kyle Juszczyk, which is a good move there. Jason Barrett's back. Emmanuel Mosley. if the Niners are healthy, I mean, we'll see what the Niners do at quarterback. The Niners are loaded. They're a contending team when healthy. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago with Jimmy Garoppolo, for Christ's sake. So they can do it. Who do you expect the Niners to have at quarterback week one?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Really? No Sam
Unless,
Darnold?
I mean, wouldn't you think the trade would have already happened?
Not necessarily. The draft is coming up. That's a prime spot for trades.
Okay, so what about if they trade Garoppolo and then end up getting Mac Jones or something?
Maybe. I think if I'm the Niners, this is how I look at it. I don't want a rookie quarterback. I don't want to have to, wait 2 years to groom a rookie and develop him into the franchise quarterback. I want a quarterback that can win now. So if I'm the Niners, I'm looking at Sam Darnold, who everyone is rumored, that's a good one. If the Jets decide they want to keep Sam Darnold, you know who I want if I'm the Niners, who I would spend a lot to trade for? Perfect fit. I would go get Deshaun Watson from the Texans.
Hey, that's smart. And the 49ers have the pieces for it too.
Yeah, and imagine that. If you put Deshaun Watson on the Niners tomorrow, that's my favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. Like, it's Niners Bucks right there, shoulder to shoulder, and that would be my NFC Championship, Niners Bucks, if they can make the trade for Deshaun Watson.
Man, this is going to be huge. Whoever gets Watson.
Yeah. So that's what I would do if I'm San Francisco. I'd be calling Houston. And if not, if the Texans won't trade him or the Niners don't want to deal with these cases that Deshaun's dealing with, then you can go get Garoppolo, or not Garoppolo, you can go get Sam Darnold, give him a fresh start. If Kyle Shanahan can't get Sam Darnold to succeed, then nobody can. But I would trust Kyle Shanahan in that situation.
Yeah, I think Sam Darnold would be the best fit, but then again, you don't know what the Jets' decision is.
Yeah. If I'm going to predict right now what I think will happen, the Jets take Zach Wilson at 2 and trade Sam Darnold to the Niners. So if you ask me who starts week one for the Niners, it's Sam Darnold.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can see that, but so just poor Jimmy has to go. Where does Garoppolo go?
That I don't know. Do they trade Garoppolo in that deal to the Jets and let Zach Wilson sit behind Garoppolo for a couple weeks? Or do the Niners just cut Garoppolo? Or who
Or
knows?
maybe a three-team trade or something.
Yeah. I mean, I fully expected Garoppolo to be in New England. And so I was pretty surprised when the Patriots chose Cam Newton. I would have thought Garoppolo reuniting with Belichick in New England made the most sense to me.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how this all plays out. Um, I mean, you could also trade Garoppolo in the deal to the Texans. Give the Texans Jimmy Garoppolo, get Deshaun Watson in San Francisco. That's a win-win in my opinion because it gives the Texans a quarterback. They can draft somebody too and build that way, but the Niners didn't have their franchise guy. So a lot of different ways this can go.
Yeah, and Houston would have a quarterback who's made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that has made it, but I mean, I don't trust Garoppolo going forward. But you could use him as a bridge quarterback and potentially draft somebody like Kellen Mond or Trey Lance or somebody.
The disrespect towards Garoppolo is crazy.
Well, I mean, so I saw an interesting stat. In the last, I believe it was 3 seasons, Joe Flacco has only 3 less starts than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jeez.
So Garoppolo can't stay healthy. Bottom line, he's always hurt. And even when he was healthy, what were they saying about the Niners in the Super Bowl? Garoppolo couldn't make that one throw to win the game.
Yeah, but I mean, again, he got them there though. You can't deny that fact.
He did, so the biggest key, I wouldn't say talent is Garoppolo's biggest issue. I would say health is his biggest issue.
I agree with
Availability,
that.
availability is your best ability, especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying, I see it as he got them to the Super Bowl. He completely turned that franchise around, and everybody's just acting like he's a bad
Yeah,
quarterback.
yeah, it's recency bias, and everyone remembers the Niners last year, and Garoppolo was never available last year, so that's the concern. Let's go to the Seahawks here. The Seahawks signed tight end Gerald Everett. They traded for guard Gabe Jackson from the Raiders, and they signed corner Akello Witherspoon, former Niner. So I like what the Seahawks are doing. They got a good team there. But the biggest issue in Seattle is Russell Wilson. Does he want to be there? Is he willing to come back? Can they come to an agreement? And because last we all heard the management is mad at Russell. Russell's mad at management. Russell's trying to get out of town. What do you think happens in Seattle? Is Russell Wilson starting week 1?
Man, you just hit me with a hard question. I'm
Well,
gonna go. I'm gonna go as of right now. Yes.
yeah, but I mean, I I think I agree, but it makes sense because if you look at it, the Saints aren't going to do it. I don't think the Raiders are going to do it. The Cowboys aren't going to do it. It doesn't appear the Bears are going to do it. So where would Russell Wilson go? I heard some people hinting at the Jets, where you could trade Russell Wilson to the Jets for Sam Darnold and other stuff, and so the Seahawks were going to have Sam Darnold.
But that would completely screw up the Zach Wilson draft.
Oh yeah, it would. It would. It would. I think the Jets would then either send number 2 to the Seahawks or trade out of it, and then you would have some team trading up to number 2 and taking Zach Wilson. So that would really flip the draft on its head.
I mean, yeah, or I mean, there's other teams out there. We were talking earlier. What about the Panthers doing a trade for Russell Wilson?
Yeah, well, I mean, they have Cam Newton now.
The Panthers?
Oh, you said the Panthers. The Panthers trade for Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. Give up the number 8 pick and other stuff, but I mean, like we saw with the Bears, you're going to have to give up a ton to get them. So you're talking 4 first-round picks and some starters.
Yeah, I mean, if the Bears can't get him, then it's going to be hard for somebody else.
Nah, I don't think the Bears were even trying to get him, to be honest with you. The Bears made the most sense. If you're the Bears, still make that deal happen. Trade for Russell Wilson. Send up Nick Foles or Dalton. But it doesn't make any sense, and it is what it is. So we'll see. Russell Wilson right now, he might end up in Seattle. So last things, let's get out of here on this, Dustin. There's 3 wide receivers still available: Kenny Galladay, T.Y. Hilton, and Sammy Watkins. Where do you think they land?
I'm gonna go with Galladay in New York to the Giants.
Okay.
I think Indy does re-sign Ty.
Okay, that would be good for Wentz.
And Watkins, this is up in the air, but
yeah, that's a tough one.
I mean, there are teams who could use receivers. I think a perfect spot would be Green Bay.
Yep. Green Bay or
Denver.
Denver, maybe like Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle could use them, or the Washington football team.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. You know, but I'm looking forward to it. The free agency is a lot of fun, a lot of action. The NFL landscape is changing drastically. We got big name players moving, and we still got to figure out what's going to happen in the draft and what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, the Jets, the Niners, all that. So, good job, Dustin. Great shit as always.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate all the support, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Tell us where we're wrong. And stay tuned. We're going to have some interviews coming out and some cool shit on the way. So, peace out, guys.